Hello again, everybody. This is Comic Book Hangover, and this is the first of my Halloween run of Mini Mondays. And as I promised last week, I am going to be talking about the series Mort, the Dead Teenager. This is a 4-issue miniseries. There's the first cover there for it. It's a first-issue miniseries, ran from December 1993 to March 1994. And the one thing that really surprised me when I was rereading this miniseries is it's written by LARRY HAMA. And I'm assuming that in comics there's only one LARRY HAMA, which means that the same guy who has a stellar run on G.I. Joe, both Marvel and IDW G.I. Joe, also wrote Mort, the Dead Teenager. The other little bit of interesting trivia, if you want to call it, about this series is Stan Lee was on record, however you want to refer to him as saying that this is one of his favorite miniseries that Marvel's produced in recent years. So this was a Stan Lee favorite. Now, as I said, written by LARRY HAMA, Mort the Dead Teenager focuses on Mort Graves, who is, now considering that this was early mid-90s, he, I guess, could be your typical vapid teenager who really has no concern or really care for anything other than his whole focus of this whole story is he's trying to impress this girl called Kimberly, who, I don't know, she's a gorgeous 90s babe, but I mean she's really probably not the best person in the world. There's another girl in here, Maureen, who's sort of the exact opposite of Kimberly, whereas Kimberly is sort of like your cheerleader type character. Maureen is sort of like your biker chick, and she actually likes Mort. He's also got two friends whose names really aren't that important, and they're just as vapid as he is. His family consists of his mom and his dad. His mom is, I don't know, her character really doesn't get developed too much in this miniseries, but his dad is a bit of a shyster, kind of a crook, sort of sleazy. He has an older sister, Cindy, I think her name is. I have some notes here. Her sister Cindy, who is sort of like a Kelly Bundy type character, only she's a little bit smarter than Kelly Bundy. And then he's got a younger brother named Kyle, who is sort of a Wall Street jackass, basically. I mean, he's all about money, and you know he'll loan you some money, but you got to pay him back plus interest, and it's just he's just not a good person. So his whole family is kind of screwed up. Now the story starts with Mort trying to impress Kimberly, so he takes his dad Studebaker, who his dad has been what do you want to call it? Has an old Studebaker, and he's been sort of fixing it up. It's been over a decade. He's been fixing it up. And so he's decided to take this thing in hopes of impressing Kimberly so he can finally take her up to a make-out point, or whatever they call it in here, so he can make out with her, essentially. And then we kind of get the first of many bad pun names. So there's another guy who's sort of the undeveloped romantic rival for Kimberly. If anybody's familiar with Beavis and Butthead, he kind of reminded me of Todd from Beavis and Butthead. He's just this older kid who's just a jerk, has his own car, really nice car, blah blah blah, and his name is Lance Boyle. First of many bad puns in this. So in here he ends up failing to impress her because Lance shows up, and then series of events, they wind up in this race. So it was basically the race from point A to point B. Point B was the train tracks, and as they're nearing the train tracks, the train shows up, and it's going to be barreling through. Let me try to fix my camera here. Sorry, folks. All right, is going to try to the train is coming, and he hopes that he can make it, because one of the things that his father has not quite finished fixing and updating on the Studebaker are the brakes. So he can't stop. Well, he does stop. The train stops him in multiple pieces. So he dies in the first issue, which is why the series is called Mort the Dead Teenager. And he essentially I don't know what more I can say about the first issue. So let's move on. Issue 2. Actually, I'm just going to show you the covers as I'm talking about the story, because really this story it's not it was a 4-issue miniseries, so they really couldn't do too much with it. And it was a humor book, so I'm sure Marvel wasn't expecting too much from it. But when he dies, he meets up with Teen Death, and at first he thinks he's the Grim Reaper, but then he realizes that the Grim Reaper is his father. So Teen Death is the one who's taking care of him. His father actually has this huge like farm machinery that he's using to reap souls now, because everything is just out of hand. And Teen Death is trying to tasked Mort with trying to come to grips with his own mortality, such as it is, but also wants to use his experience to try to teach and show teenagers the importance of living, because the afterlife is becoming so inundated with stupid people, essentially, that are killing themselves for whatever reasons and doing stupid things that they can't keep up with it. Hell's basically full, as I said, of Wall Street brokers and politicians and such, and heaven is basically, it's out of order. It's down for repairs. So everybody's having to go to limbo, and so they want Mort to sort of slow down the flow of teenagers and people showing up in the afterlife. He has also his family, who doesn't change their attitude or their personalities as the series progresses. I mean, his funeral, for example, they took the cheapest way out for his funeral so that they could save some money. He had a cardboard casket, for example, and did you see what else happens in his miniseries here? So when at his funeral, he finds out that Kimberly actually did like him, so he's trying to figure out a way to be with her, even though he's dead. And series of events moving forward, as the story progresses. Actually, I think it's in issue 2 and 3. His two friends form a band, and Maureen, the biker chick, and Kimberly, the hot chick, I guess, wind up joining it. And Mort becomes jealous because he's afraid that one of his friends is going to be able to put the moves on Kimberly, so he goes into the amps or whatever, and he creates this magnificent light show that impresses one of his friend's dads. And so they decide, the dad decides, I'm going to be your manager. You're going to be great. You're going to make money, millions of dollars, and it's all because of the stuff that Mort did. And I don't know. Honestly, the end result of this whole thing, because it really. I enjoyed this miniseries when it first started, but over time, the story and the characters, they don't really hold up that well. It's a neat idea, it's a neat concept, but essentially, Mort the Dead Teenager, for all the potential that the series had, ends up being sort of like an extended Mad Magazine gag. Even down to the art style. The art style is very Mad Magazine-esque. It's sort of like in some panels, it reminds me of Mort Drucker a little bit, and some of the other fine artists that Mad Magazine used to have. Not the stuff they have now. The stuff they have now is pretty generic, but the way they used to do it. So this does have a feel of an extended Mad Magazine gag, and this would have been maybe 2 or 3 pages in Mad. There's a lot of fluff in this. It's no disrespect to LARRY HAMA, who's an amazing artist, but I'm not sure if he was under editorial restraints or restrictions as to what he could do with this series. But it's almost like you kind of see where this could have been a great miniseries, but it just didn't get over that hill. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's still an easy read. It's, the characters are widely unlikable. Even Mort's not a very likable character. I mean, he really doesn't even learn his lessons. At the end of the story, you find out that, Teen Death takes him sort of through a, you kind of get like a clue ending, where you get multiple endings where Teen Death shows him what would have happened had he lived. And, here's one possibility, but this is the most likely possibility of what would happen. And he winds up waking up. The whole thing was a dream. So the entire miniseries didn't actually happen. Happened all in his head. And he winds up seeing that he slept in, and he well, the long and the short of it, the end of the story is basically the beginning of the story. So, you know, and I know it seems like I'm not able to fully articulate the story. It's because there's really not a whole lot there. The puns are pretty bad. They didn't age very well. You know, the names like Lance Boyle, and like I said, the characters are really abrasive. There's really not much to latch onto. Teen death is a neat idea. I did like the idea of the teen death character. I just wish he was in there more. The dialogue, like the teenager dialogue, it's just like, you know, the Bill and Ted had their way of speaking, and they use a lot of slang terms, and they you know, really did not have a lot of intelligent words that they used, or they used intelligent words, just didn't use them in a very intelligent way. That's how this book is written, how the teenagers are written in this. So it's fun to have the covers. I'll say this. I mean, this is one of my actually, where's it at? Issue number 1 is one of my favorite covers, despite the fact that having read this for the first time since 1993, 1994, this is still my favorite cover. I can see why. I mean, I did enjoy it when it first came out because, you know, I was only 3 or 4 years into collecting comic books, so I really didn't have a whole lot of experience with funny books, as it were, funny, humorous comic books. But again, it just didn't age very well. But if you want to check it out, I wouldn't discourage it. I mean, it's probably something where you would probably be able to enjoy it, and it's sort of it's sort of a groan inducing, sort of like if they could do Mystery Science Theater in Marvel, this would be one of the books that they would do. So, but it's got a great cover. I do like the cover. Plus, this is back when Marvel was still doing the corner boxes, and the corner boxes actually were part of the story. Let's see if I can get this to focus up a little bit here. Come on. And it's not going to focus. Okay, well, you get the idea. But you have, in the first issue there, you have Mort in the grave. And then in the second issue, he's kind of decayed a little bit. As you can see. Oh, there it goes. So there's the first issue. And then he kind of decays a little bit, which is kind of cool. And then the third issue, he's decayed a little bit more. You also have a hot female Grim Reaper death representation who's not actually not in the comics at all. And then in the last one, I always wondered why this was done negative space. Why wasn't? I mean, it might have been because there's all this black here, or maybe it was just a little bit more at the time more gruesome than what Marvel wanted to do for one of their regular books. But you have like heaven and hell type things there. So that's it. Really, I was expecting more from Mort, honestly. I was hoping, let me fix this here. I was hoping for more from Mort. I do remember enjoying it, and it's one of the books, one of the characters I'm always referencing. If they were to do another Mort the Dead Teenager miniseries, or even a one-shot or anything like that, I would check it out. I would. I mean, he's even though he's not a very likable character, he's an entertaining character. The whole idea, like in the covers there, you can see where his head isn't really attached. That is kind of a gag that runs through the books a little bit. There's a scene in there where he's trying to fix his hair, and he only has a puddle that he can look in to see his reflection, and he goes to bend down to try to brush his hair, and his head falls off. But if you're looking for a book that is just based, essentially it's an extended Mad Magazine comic strip. If you're into that sort of stuff, this would definitely be a book to check out. If you like just bad comic books, which I do, I mean, I have no shortage of really bad comic books in my collection. If you like that sort of stuff, this is definitely one to check out. I don't know if it's ever been put in a trade paperback, but it's only a 4-issue miniseries. I can't imagine that most shops would have it in anything more than a $1 bin or even like a 50-cent bin. But it is, or if you're looking for stuff that Larry Hama has written, that's not quite mainstream. Since I've realized that he wrote this book, I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with this camera today. But now that I know he's written this book, I am going to see if he's at a show that I'm going to be going to, or that I know somebody's going to. I might send this book in to get it signed by Mr. Hama. So that said, I'm going to wrap this up. Really, Mort the Dead Teenager. If you like really bad, cheesy, corny, campy, USA Up All Night type of comic book stories, then Mort the Dead Teenager is definitely something to check out. If you want something that's highbrow, sophisticated, with really great character development, then this is not the book for you. Will I keep it? Yes, I'm going to keep it. Do I regret reading it? No, I really don't, because despite the things that that I spoke of that as negatives, these are things that I like in my movies as well. So I like bad movies, and I like poorly written and poorly acted movies. That's the sort of stuff that I get into. So Mort the Dead Teenager, it's a lot. It's I can't say it's a lot of fun. It's entertaining in the sense that you could, if they were to make an animated feature or live action movie out of this, then they would have to do an Elvira movie macabre type thing so she could poke fun at it. Hopefully that explains a little bit about how I feel about this book. So I enjoyed it, but I didn't really care for it. I loved it the first time I read it. Upon rereading it, it doesn't hold up very well. I do like that it feels like a Mad Magazine skit or comic, but it probably could have been shorter. Maybe they probably could have cut like an issue or two out of this, made it a 3-issue miniseries or even a 2-issue miniseries, and it probably would have been just as good. But that said, we're gonna wrap this up because I really hate being negative about my comics, but it's I don't know, I would buy it. If I were to come across it, the first issue, I would buy the first issue again because I like the cover. That's about it. So if you're looking for something that's really campy, really groan-inducing, then definitely check out Mort the Dead Teenager, because it is definitely a groan-inducing book. If you want to see Larry Hama write something that isn't up to the standard of his G.I. Joe stuff, then definitely check out Mort the Dead Teenager. If you want to have a book that Stan Lee said was one of his favorites, you definitely want to check out Mort the Dead Teenager, because as it says on the cover here, he's young, he's terminated, he's Mort the Dead Teenager. Or, issue 2, he's young, he's stiff, he's Mort the Dead Teenager. Or, he's young, he's fertilizer, he's Mort the Dead Teenager. And finally, he's young, he's life function challenged, he's Mort the Dead Teenager. And it's definitely a one-of-a-kind book. So, thanks again for watching. If you like what I'm doing here, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification button, because all month long I'm going to be doing these Monday videos. I'm going to do Friday videos, and those are all going to be horror related, horror themed, anything, even if it's a stretch a little bit, I'm going to have it. So thanks for watching. Thanks for your continued support. I will see you guys on Thursday with my weekly haul, weekly review video. You guys have a good night.